Hello, I'm Bob Kraus. I'm president of the Veterans National Recovery Center, and we are on episode 2 talking to Newt Colburn, who is of the greatest generation, World War II, and his wife Betty. And what we have just talked about in episode 1, we talked about how Newt went and he got training, went overseas, went to New Guinea, and was in the major fighting in the Philippines, coming down from the north on the island of Luzon. And they were in combat for over 100 days. And if you haven't seen that episode yet, you need to go back and listen to that, because it's really fascinating stuff. But today, we're going to continue from where we left off, which was right after his unit took Manilla. They took Manilla from the Japanese right after the Great Raid, in which they freed hundreds of American prisoners, some from the Battle of Corregidor, that had been there for years until nearly the end of the war. So, Newt, I'd like to ask you again a little bit, and first I guess I'm going to show you a picture here. Now, this is a picture. Newt has about 3 great scrapbooks. This is they took this when they were on a break, but they were on an R&R after they took Manila, and this shows the some of the artillery going at one of the buildings. This is probably some work of Newt's unit. Is that right, Newt? Yeah. Tell me a little bit about you were in Manila in a victory thing. And then all of a sudden, you had to retreat. You got an order to get out of Dodge. What happened?
Well, we got an order to retreat out of Manila.
Mm-hmm.
The Japanese were coming. We had to retreat.
That's what they said.
Yeah, that's what our orders were.
Huh.
So we retreated, but then we found out that the reason we retreated was because MacArthur was coming, and he had to be the first one into Manila.
Okay, and that was the famous picture of him walking in the water. Is that
right,
the one?
Right, that's it. Yep.
And that was it was all they arranged that because they didn't want anybody else first.
Right. Yeah.
So they kicked you guys out of Manila.
Right, yeah.
So that MacArthur, General MacArthur, Douglas MacArthur, could get all the credit from walking in on the water.
Right, yeah.
What a story! What a story! Yeah. So then, how long were you in Manila and Luzon? You got your ring on, Newt? That one that was so fascinating. Is that the one that was given to you by the government of the Philippines?
Oh no, this is it here.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we can just show that, and I'll put that up on Vicky's camera. And I can't see. Is that right side up or upside down? That's right side up. It says Manila on it, and it says 1945.
1945.
And anybody that was in that first wave, they got a ring.
Right.
And Newt still got his ring from that famous battle. And so you were out of Manila then, and what all happened after that, Newt?
After we got out of Manila. We went into a rest camp.
Okay, that was a rest camp where you saw this building that was perforated.
We went into a rest camp, and we took some tours around the city and so forth. Mm-hmm. And that's when the Army decided that we didn't look very good, because see, we were still in our Army fatigues and suntan. We didn't have a regular uniform. You didn't have a regular uniform in combat.
Yes.
So the uniform I have on now, I got that when I was in Japan.
I'll be darned. Now, tell me about the 100 days of battle.
Not Japan, I mean in the Philippines.
In the Philippines. Well, now tell us about how your combat when you were in it. And you were in for 100 days. Did you change your uniform even once during those 100 days?
We didn't change our uniform for weeks at a time.
Weeks at a time.
We didn't didn't have time to change your clothes.
You're too busy running around.
And you didn't have any way to wash them.
Big problem. Big problem. Yeah, the quartermaster corps wasn't doing its job in those days, were they?
No.
They should have been doing the laundry for you.
No laundry.
Yeah. Well, so you were in this rest camp and taking some tours, and the Japanese were pretty much all gone.
Yeah.
And you were there for what, 2-3 weeks?
Oh, gee, I don't remember exactly how long, but
Yeah. Okay. So you did that, and then you got. So then things started happening again. Now you tell us about the orders you got for the invasion of Japan.
oh, well, they were trying to get the Japanese to surrender,
Mm-hmm.
and when they were backing down on it, so then we got orders
Mm-hmm.
for the invasion of Japan.
Yeah. Now, just to clarify, the first nuclear bomb had already been dropped on Hiroshima.
Right, yes.
And at the time, the American Army thought Japan was going to surrender, and Japan had thought about it, right?
Right, that's correct.
Okay, and then they said, no, we're not going to surrender.
They said no, right.
And so at that point, what happened to you?
Well, then we started preparing for the invasion.
Okay, so you were moving pretty fast at that time, weren't you?
Yeah.
You had a lot of LSTs.
Well, we were already loaded on our LST, see.
Okay, so you were ready, and
Yeah.
and you shipped out towards Japan for
China Sea, yeah,
on the-
for the invasion.
on the East China Sea for an
Yeah, for the
invasion.
invasion of Japan.
Invasion of Japan, and there must have been quite a flotilla when you got up on deck and you were looking around. How many ships?
Ships all over the place, yeah.
As far as you could see, you'd
Yeah,
see ships.
yeah.
That would be amazing. That was kind of like the Pacific version of D-Day getting ready, I suppose.
And I suppose that the Japanese saw this too, see,
Mm-hmm.
so they finally surrendered.
Yeah, the second bomb hit when they saw you guys out in sea. They had to have the intelligence at that point.
Right,
They had a few
I'm sure
airplanes.
they did, yeah.
Yeah, so they saw it, that you were coming in as a giant flotilla
Right.
for a mainland invasion. Nagasaki got hit, and then very shortly after, you got. Tell us about when you first heard that the Japanese had surrendered.
Well, we didn't believe them.
You didn't believe them?
No, because see, they didn't. You mean the first time?
Yeah, well, just tell us about the whole thing with what you were hearing on the news out there in the middle of the ocean.
Well, the thing was that we heard that they were going to surrender, but then we didn't see any activity that they were going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we just figured that they weren't going to do it.
So you thought the first was a bluff, and then you thought the second, where they actually did surrender, was a bluff.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, what was your?
But we were on the way to Japan then, see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You were under full sail.
Right. Yeah, we were
With,
ready for the invasion.
With hundreds of thousands of ships.
Oh,
and,
quite a few, yeah.
And probably close to 1 million men and women. So you got this the first news that you didn't believe. When did you finally believe it? It wasn't fake news now, was it?
No, well, since we got the orders the second time, and they said that this is definitely it, we got to do it. So,
So they had to tell you twice because nobody
twice,
was believing
right,
them.
yeah, right, yeah.
I'll be darned! Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at that point, but you're still underway.
Oh yeah,
So
we're
you're going
underway,
to
yeah.
you're invading a country that has shown the white flag. They've got the white flag
Right,
up.
yeah, right.
And
yeah.
so, where did you land? Were you one of the first ones coming in on Manilla Bay?
No, we didn't. The 11th Airborne Division.
Tokyo Bay. Yeah, pardon me.
11th Airborne went in south of Manila.
Okay.
And that's where all the Japanese troops were, because
Yeah.
that's where they thought we were going to come in.
I
We
mixed up.
landed at
Yeah.
the northern end of the island.
I led you wrong on that.
Okay.
Newt. Were you one of the first ones in on Tokyo Bay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Where was your ship? You were still on an LST.
In LST, we went in like it was on a regular invasion landing.
Okay.
Pulled up on the shore, and the ramps went down, and we just.
So you were fully armed, locked
fully
and loaded?
armed, yeah, with artillery, yeah.
With artillery and ready to go.
Went in, yeah,
Yeah,
convoy.
So it was just in case there
In other
was
words, we formed a
resistance, you were
convoy, and
yeah.
we started heading for this to Manila.
For Tokyo, you mean?
Yeah.
Tokyo.
For Tokyo.
Yeah, I missed. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I missed. Yeah. So so you got into and you were on the ground. Tell us how the Japanese reacted to you and all the other soldiers coming in.
Oh, they they were very cooperative.
Very, very cooperative.
Very, very cooperative. We had no restrictions at all.
Now, did they? You'd mentioned earlier that at first everybody was in hiding. Is that what you said? When you started
The
marching in?
Japanese.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then when did they start coming out? Was it
Well,
the
when
women
they
and
saw
children
that we
first?
weren't going to do anything, see.
Okay, so there was a few people that came out,
Yeah.
and nobody got shot, nobody
Right,
got killed,
yeah,
and they think,
yeah.
oh, it must be okay.
Right, yeah.
And then it was the women and children that came
They
out
came
first.
out first, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And did they gather around you, or they just watch at a distance?
Watched at a distance.
Watched at a distance, and then when did they start coming in more close to you?
Well, the women and kids was the first ones that could make contact.
Okay, now did they ask for like food
Well,
or water?
you got a different language, see.
Yeah, big
And
problem.
although
yeah.
I found some of them that could speak a little bit of English.
So, but they would come up and ask for things or pantomime.
Not necessarily, no.
Not really.
No.
Okay. So, but it was very civil. Yeah.
It was very civil, yeah.
Yeah. Now, how long were you there before you were released from duty to come back to the States, then, Newt? I can't remember. To be honest with you. Yeah. Okay. So you got so at some point you were released, and then you took another ship back. Now it wasn't an LST this time.
No.
It was
Troop ship.
Troop ship. Full blown
Yeah.
troop ship.
Right.
And can you remember the name of the ship?
No, I can't.
Yeah. And then you got home, and then the very first week, who did you meet when you got home?
My wife.
Yeah, Betty.
Well, see, before I went into service, I used to do a lot of roller skating, and when I got back into the States again, and back home, that's the first thing I did was I went roller skating.
And that's where you met
That's
Betty.
where I met her. Yeah.
Now, what did you do for a second date? Did you roller skate again?
No, there was a church picnic.
A church picnic?
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
And so we went on that. And it was just love at first sight, I guess.
Oh my goodness, isn't that a wonderful story? Yeah. Well, I think we've got the big picture now. Newt and Betty went on to have 3 boys, I believe.
Yep, 3 boys.
That are all grown and in their own professional lives now.
Definitely.
And
we have grandchildren and great grandchildren.
yeah, and it's children. How many children? How many grandchildren do you have now?
How many grades? Oh, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
3,
5 great grandchildren or
6.
grandchildren.
6.
Six
Right.
great grandchildren, and the generation of grandchildren earlier. That was probably.
There was 2. This is terrible. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 and 6. Well, that's wonderful. Now, the grandfather clock has just struck. You can hear it in the background if you're listening. And I think that's a very good time for us to say goodbye to you. And you can say a few words about your experience. Would you do it again, Newt?
Would I do it again?
Yeah, would you do it again?
Not if I had to.
Not if you had to. That's an honest
Yeah,
man. That's an honest man. How about you, Betty? Would you do it again?
Absolutely. If
Absolutely.
you're talking about us getting married, yes.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
I had a
getting
little bigger.
married.
I was
I've
I
been
kind of
married
got
so
caught in
many
my
years.
own mixture.
I thought you
Yeah.
meant about the war.
That too. That
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
No,
that
about
was a
meeting
tough
her,
experience.
definitely.
Oh yeah, no, that's wonderful, wonderful story. Well, thank you very much. And I'm Bob Kraus with Newt and Betty, and this is another great day in history. And we'll see you on the Veterans National Recovery Center website or Facebook page in another day. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.